Two men walk into the same dealership, same day, same income, same age, same paperwork on the same counter. One leaves in a brand new truck, $900 a month for 5 years, chrome trim catching the sun in the parking lot. The other leaves on foot. He didn't buy anything. He didn't even test drive it. 12 years later, one of them owns 3 properties and doesn't check his bank balance out of fear anymore. The other still owes on a truck he traded in twice, each trade adding years he doesn't notice until the statement arrives. Nobody tells you the rule when you're young. Nobody sits you down and explains it. You have to lose money to find it, usually more than once, usually after it's already expensive. Level 1, 23 years old. Marcus gets his first real paycheck, $3,200 direct deposit, hitting an account that has never seen a number that large. After 4 years of ramen, secondhand textbooks, and a mattress on the floor of a shared apartment, it feels like winning. It feels like the finish line. He doesn't invest it. He doesn't save it. He goes to the mall on a Saturday afternoon with nothing planned and comes home with everything decided for him. New shoes, a new watch, dinner that night at a place with cloth napkins and a wine list he can't read. His roommate, Dennis, watches him do this every single month. Same pattern, same mall, same feeling, chased and never caught. Dennis says nothing. Dennis eats his rice at home, plain, sometimes with an egg if it was a good week, and puts $200 into an index fund on the 15th of every month. Automatic, boring, a habit he doesn't even think about anymore because thinking about it was only necessary the first time. Marcus calls him boring. Marcus means it as a joke, tossed across the kitchen table between bites. It doesn't land like one. Dennis just smiles and changes the subject. The first rule: the people who look rich in their 20s are usually the ones spending the fastest. The people who look boring are usually the ones building the fastest, quietly underneath the surface where nobody thinks to look. You can't tell the difference by watching someone walk into a room. That's the whole trick, and it's the reason the rule stays hidden for so long. Level 2, 26 years old. Marcus gets a raise, $55,000 now, real money, grown-up money. He leases a car the same week the raise clears, $540 a month, black paint, chrome trim, the smell of new leather that fades within a year but feels permanent the day he drives it off the lot. He posts a photo that night, 41 likes, a few comments calling him a legend. Dennis is still driving the same Corolla from college, 210,000 miles on the odometer, the AC rattling every time it kicks on, a sound Dennis has learned to stop hearing. At a barbecue that summer, Marcus's cousin pulls Dennis aside and asks if he's doing okay, gently, the way you ask someone you're worried about. Not rude, just concerned. Dennis says he's fine. He doesn't explain further. He never explains further because explaining would mean admitting the number, and the number would sound strange coming from a guy driving a car that rattles. Nobody at that barbecue knows Dennis has $41,000 sitting quietly in a brokerage account, growing whether he's paying attention or not. Nobody asks the boring guy how he's doing financially. They assume the truck tells the story, the lease tells the story, the fresh paint tells the story. It doesn't. The second rule: the rich don't advertise, not because they're humble, but because advertising costs money, and money that's advertising isn't money that's compounding. Poverty is loud, wealth is silent, almost embarrassingly silent until the day it isn't anymore. Level 3, 29 years old. Marcus's lease ends and he signs a new one before the old plates are even returned. $610 a month now because the old one supposedly had too many miles for a lease he never technically owned in the first place. Dennis's Corolla finally dies on a Tuesday morning in February, cold air pouring through the vents. A head gasket that isn't worth fixing according to the mechanic who's known him for 6 years. Dennis walks into a dealership that same weekend and buys a used Honda cash $11,000 counted out in the cashier's check that makes the finance manager's eyebrows lift slightly. He doesn't finance a single cent of it. The salesman looks almost disappointed. No commission bump on a cash deal that small, no paperwork trail leading to a bonus. Dennis drives home in silence, no music, windows cracked, just the sound of an engine that owes nobody anything and never will. The third rule, debt feels like progress because you get the thing today, right now, immediately before you've earned it. But debt is just future income spent in advance, with interest added on top as the price you pay for your own impatience, a price that compounds in the opposite direction of everything Dennis is quietly building. Level 4, 32 years old. Marcus gets promoted, $92,000 a year now, a real title on his email signature, and a parking spot closer to the building. He upgrades again almost immediately. A bigger apartment with a view he rarely looks at, a nicer gym membership he uses twice a month, a credit card with a metal edge that makes a satisfying sound when he sets it down on a restaurant table. Dennis gets the same promotion track that year, the same raise almost to the dollar, same title, same building, same parking lot minus the closer spot. Dennis's rent doesn't change. His car doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the number sitting in his brokerage account. And it changes every single month, whether he thinks about it or not, whether he checks it or not, whether anyone at the office believes it exists or not. At work, people assume Marcus is doing better. He looks better. His photos look better. His stories told over lunch sound better. Nobody sees the account behind either man's face. Nobody sees the rule operating quietly underneath both of their lives, pulling them in opposite directions at the exact same speed. The fourth rule, lifestyle is a costume you put on in the morning. Net worth is the body underneath it, the thing that's actually there when the costume comes off. You can dress a small number in expensive fabric, and for a while, nobody will know the difference, including sometimes the person wearing it. Level 5, 35 years old. Marcus's card gets declined at a restaurant on a Friday night in front of people. The machine beeping twice before the waiter quietly suggests another card. Not because he's broken in the traditional sense, but because he's over the limit again for the third time this year, a pattern he stopped being surprised by. He steps outside to call the bank, phone pressed hard against his ear, voice low so the table can't hear the tone shift. Dennis, sitting across the table the whole time, quietly hands his own card to the waiter, pays for both of them, and never mentions it again. Not that night, not ever. That night, alone in his apartment with the lights off except for his laptop screen, Marcus opens his accounts for the first time in months. $11,000 in total savings after 35 years of working, after a decade of looking by every visible measure successful. He doesn't sleep much that night, staring at a ceiling that costs more per month than most people's mortgage. The fifth rule, the bill always comes eventually, quietly, all at once. Every dollar spent to look wealthy is a dollar that will never compound, and compounding doesn't care how good your car looked in that parking lot 4 years ago. Level 6. 38 years old, Dennis buys his first rental property, a small place with 2 bedrooms and a leaking roof that needs work he can mostly do himself. He spends weekends up on a ladder, sunburned, learning as he goes, the way his father taught him growing up in a house that was always slightly under construction. Marcus finds out over coffee, almost by accident, a comment Dennis makes about needing to buy shingles before the next storm. Marcus laughs at first, assuming it's a joke, the same kind of joke he used to make about rice and index funds. Then he stops laughing when he realizes it isn't one. "How long have you been doing this?" Marcus asks, coffee going cold in his hand. Dennis says, "Since the day you call me boring, not bitter, just factual, the way you'd state a date on a calendar." Marcus doesn't say anything for a long moment, doing math in his head, backward, 15 years of it, running numbers that don't land anywhere good no matter how he arranges them. The sixth rule, the people who mock patience in their 20s are usually the ones quietly asking about it in their 30s, in coffee shops, in a tone they don't recognize in themselves. By then, the gap isn't a conversation anymore. It's a fact sitting on the table between two cups of coffee, level 7, 41 years old. Dennis owns 3 properties now, tenants paying rent that covers the mortgages and then some, a small, quiet machine running in the background of his life. He still drives the Honda. He still eats at home most nights, still checks the account on the 15th out of habit rather than hope. Nobody who meets him for the first time would guess what he's built. And that's exactly how he wants it, has always wanted it, since long before he had a reason to want anything at all. Marcus starts over that same year, sells the lease car, absorbs the loss, buys a used one instead, cash, the kind he used to mock Dennis for owning across a dozen different kitchen tables. It's humbling in a way he doesn't post about, doesn't mention at work, doesn't explain to the cousin who once asked Dennis if he was okay. But 6 months into the reset, for the first time in his adult life, more money is coming in than going out, a strange and unfamiliar feeling that takes weeks to trust. It feels like nothing dramatic. It feels quietly like the beginning of something real, something he should have started at 23, but is starting now instead. The seventh rule, it is never too late to start following it. The only mistake that can be undone is never starting at all, no matter how long the head start feels like it's cost you. Level 8, the rule finally stated in one sentence, the way it should have been stated at the very beginning, if anyone had bothered to say it out loud. The people who build wealth are not the ones who earn the most. They are the ones who spend the least of what they earn for the longest amount of time without needing anyone to see them do it, without needing the likes, without needing the sound the card makes on the table. That's it. That's the whole secret. The one that took Marcus 15 years and one declined card to learn, and one that Dennis never had to learn at all because he simply never unlearned it. It was never hidden the way people assume. It was just boring, and boring has never once gone viral, and boring has never once needed to. 2 men walked into that dealership 15 years ago. One of them is still, in a sense, paying for a truck that's long gone, traded twice, sold once, remembered mostly as a mistake with monthly payments attached. The other owns 3 roofs that people sleep under every night and pay him quietly for the privilege, never knowing his name, never needing to. Same day, same income, same age, same dealership, same lighting, same parking lot, different rule, followed or ignored in a moment, neither of them recognized as a decision at the time. Somewhere right now, someone your age is standing in a dealership just like it, making that exact choice. And they don't even know yet that it's the only choice that ever mattered.